We've had an interesting question come back some time back. We'd like to apologize for taking a little time to get to it. And so we'll post this one as soon as we get it finished, because it is an important question. Your Holiness, I'm enjoying your videos and saw that you have solicited for questions. I'm curious about your views regarding the Sedia Gestatoria, and whether or not you would resuscitate its use, which declined in parallel to the rise of the modernist conciliar church, along with numerous other traditional symbols of papal authority, like the papal tiara. I'm also curious whether you think the abandonment of the Sedia Gestatoria had any subverting doctrinal motivations, or whether it was simply a function of an attempt to appeal to wider sensibilities, or some other reason. First of all, the Sedia Gestatoria and the papal tiara have not been done away with by the Catholic Church. They still exist. The sect that's done away with them is called the Conciliar Church. And they threw these things away. And yes, I do believe it's part and parcel of their doctrine. And so someday, do we want to have the Sedia Gestatoria? Of course we do. When the church is restored after the 3 days of darkness. Another video I'm talking about, not this book, but another book I'm working on. This is, I believe, in the Catholic Church, which talks about the fundamentals of what the Catholic Church is. In any case, one of the things I believe in is that we have a 3 days of darkness coming, and that's discussed in another book. The Coming Chastisement, and we will be going into it again in our new book we're working on, which we hope to have out before long. The Coming Chastisement, originally written in 1992 and updated just a couple of years ago when I published it, because anything that's that old needs to be updated with new information. In any case, after the 3 days of darkness, we believe there will be a universal conversion. Then the Sedia Gestatoria will be dusted off. The traditional papal tiara will be found. We have a makeshift one. We're not the first pope in history. Pope Pius VII had a makeshift one as well because of his exile when he was crowned. All of these things are symbols of the authority of the pope and of the church. So a true pope is not going to discard the symbols of his God-given authority. It's not ours to discard. And so, why did Paul VI discard the papal tiara and give it to the United Nations? This was symbolic. He was saying, I have stolen the papacy, okay, which you really hadn't, and I'm now giving it to man. I am telling the secret societies, we have won. I'm giving it to your symbol, the United Nations, one of your creations. Get rid of the Sedia Gestatoria. He didn't want something, quote, regal anymore, because he wanted to be the first among equals to satisfy the Orthodox. He wanted a collegial church. Of course, that was all verbiage, because when the Novus Ordo was first put before the Concilium of bishops for a vote, they voted it down. He approved the very edition they voted down with overwhelming numbers. See, it's all verbiage. He didn't want to be collegial. And so, what did they replace the Sedia Gestatoria with? The Pope-mobile. True, there was a practical reason. After Anka took a run at John Paul II, the Great Deceiver, in 81, they realized they had to beef up security. And the Pope-mobile is actually a practical instrument for doing that. But they have their outside services with their Pope-mobile, instead of being inside St. Peter's with a Sedia Gestatoria wearing a tiara. The tiara remained on the coat of arms until, I believe, Benedict XVI, who should be named Benedict I of the Conciliar Church. But, I mean, they're trying to steal everything. And so, yes, we have these symbols to remind us of things. Why do we have a crucifix, statues, holy pictures, etc. in our house? These are all things to bring our mind and focus it on what the faith is. The Pope wears a tiara to remind him of his duty to rule the church. He's carried on a Sedia Gestatoria to remind him of his duty to the church. When he is crowned, that Sedia Gestatoria is stopped 3 times and lowered, and they burn flax in front of him. Thus go worldly things. To remind him. All of these things are reminders. This symbolism is not, true, a prideful man might take them wrongly. But should we get rid of them because of the sins of men? Or should we keep them because of the symbols, what these symbols mean to us? And so we should keep everything that the church has built up over the centuries, because it was inspired by the Holy Ghost. Yes, the tiara, the Sedia Gestatoria, the tabernacle, the priest saying Mass with his back to the people, all come from the Holy Ghost. They all mean something. In fact, people are starting to look for these meanings again. I've seen the posts on Facebook. They contrast versus populum, the Novus Ordo, with ad orientem, where the priest is facing the altar and the people are also facing the altar, all worshiping God. This is what people want, the truth. And see, we preach not just by our words, but by our actions. When I go to the altar, every action there has been inspired by the Holy Ghost. Authors throughout the centuries, saints, fathers, whatever, have commented why each action has come into the Mass. Should we throw these things away? We saw what happened in the late 60s as these things were one by one being thrown out the door. What happened to people? They threw away their Catholicity, most of them. No, when I walk into a church, I want that church to put me in a prayerful mood. I want that church to inspire me to pray. Now, true, I should be able to pray anywhere, and I should pray anywhere. But we are of flesh and blood as well as spirit. So we use everything in our power, everything we have, for one purpose: to get to heaven. That's why we have these things. And so if we arrange our lives in such a way that we have more inspirations to save our soul, we're more likely to save our soul. What God has given us, these things come from God, we should not throw out. And so yes, we should have the Sedia Gestatoria. We should, in fact, we do have a tiara. We do not have much occasion to use it, but when the occasion is right, we will use it. We have the Ceremoniale Romanum, which tells us how to perform certain things, such as canonizations, when the time comes again. So it's not necessarily a matter of restoration as much as keeping what has always been there, has been inspired for centuries or a millennium or longer. No, we don't throw these things out. And yes, all of these things were removed for reasons. And you can see them slowly being removed one by one. The tiara was removed from the coat of arms of the anti-popes. Why? Because they're preaching by their coat of arms. It just probably wasn't thought up in 78, which is why it remained so long with John Paul II, the great deceiver. He didn't think like Benedict, hey, I don't like this, I'm throwing it out. Benedict changed palliums. The pallium is given to you with the office of Archbishop or Pope, and you keep the same pallium throughout the rest of your life in that office. The only time it's put away is if you're transferred to another office. For instance, St. Pius X would have been Cardinal Patriarch of Venice, also an archbishop. He would have had a pallium as archbishop. When he was elected pope, the pallium as archbishop, Patriarch of Venice, would have been put aside and was buried with him. And a new pallium was given to him as Pope Pius X. And he wore that same pallium throughout his whole reign. Benedict, he adopted this one strange-looking pallium, an older style. I think maybe it appeals to the East. Maybe the Easterns use it. Nothing, it might be fine, a fine design, but he adopted that one. Apparently, I understand he didn't like it. And after a couple of years, he said, no, I want a different one. What he's denying is that he has the office. He's changing palliums like you change chasubles, because the chasuble doesn't go with anything but the office of priesthood. And we do change chasubles. We change colors. We change chasubles when they wear out. I mean, if I go to a different church, I don't bring my white chasuble with me. I use the one they've got there, okay? But I will bring my pallium anytime I pontificate anywhere in the world. An archbishop wears his pallium anywhere in his archdiocese. He does not wear it outside of his archdiocese because he has no authority there. As Pope, we have authority everywhere. But we will use the same pallium we were invested with several years ago. We will use that to the end of our life. See, everything has meaning. And we could spend hours on the meanings of all these things. We've discussed just a couple of things here. And so, yes, everything should be retained. And we look forward to the day when we're able to wear the tiara, ride the Sedia Gestatoria. If it's not ourselves, God decides it's going to be our successor, that's fine. Everything in His providence. But, yes, we must retain these things because they mean something. God bless you all.